Welcome back to the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Joining me today, of course, for a tough old episode when we do these. Dino, how are you, my man?
Yeah, all good, mate. It's great doing the preview of the game. All happy and buzzing, excited. But yeah, it's a sad out time saying goodbye to one of the greats that ever wore the red of the club. Always a somber moment, yeah, but they're celebrated more than they're more than they'll ever know. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well before the game, the mosaic and the applause you get.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're here today to pay tribute to you, if you like, and celebrate the memory of Roger Hunt, who sadly passed away the other day. An absolute Liverpool legend and a man who really laid the foundation for the success of the club and where the club went throughout the 60s, 70s and 80s. An unbelievable player with an unbelievable eye for goal, and an all-round great human being. Let's get into it anyway. Born Glasbury, Lancashire, England, passed away sadly the 27th of September 2021, aged 83. Career 1958 to 1969, Liverpool, 404 appearances, 244 goals. Moved on to Bolton then for a couple of years, 76 appearances, 24 goals. And then with the national team, 1962 to 69, 34 appearances, 18 goals. But of course, lifted the World Cup in 1966, one of the members of the team. Absolutely outstanding performance. Honours with Liverpool, won the league in 63, 64 and 65, 66. League second division in 61, 62. The FA Cup 64, 65. Charity Shield 64, 65 and 66. Of course, I mentioned already the World Cup in 66 with England. Individual, second division top scorer 61, 62. First division top scorer 65, 66. Inducted into the Football Hall of Fame in 2006, and obviously inducted into the Liverpool Football Club Hall of Fame as an inductee. Where do we begin with this man? An absolute goal machine, but pivotal in the success and laying the foundation for Liverpool back then. Any thoughts?
Yeah, first off, just want to say obviously my thoughts and my prayers go out to his family. But when we talk about celebrating the man, like you look at his 244 goals in 404 games, the goal every other game, nearly a goal. Phenomenal. Second only in the top scorer charts for the club, to Ian Rush. In my opinion, those two they'll never probably ever be touched on the goal scoring charts at Liverpool. As you said, laid the foundations for the club, but it's them 60s superstars that actually, the foundations were obviously there before they came in, but under Shanks and you Tommy Lawrence, Tommy Smith, Ron Yates, Ian Callaghan, Ian St. John, Roger Hunt, to name but a few. But those guys really did put the platform there, to get the club to where it is now. One regret I have, and I suppose it's about you can put it to probably the name of about 50 or 60 Liverpool legends. You look back at yourself, you probably remember seeing him, and then you hear the memory or the tributes being paid by his ex teammates and all the legends at the club. But it's those who got to watch this man play were so fortunate. Under Shanks, that was the first great period of the club, and all of the tributes they have, especially Kenny Dalglish's one stands out. Those of us who followed you and Shanks men were fortunate to stand on the shoulders of giants. Thank you for everything you did for our great club. That's you needn't say anymore. That's Kenny Dalglish paying you the ultimate tribute. You know what I mean? And it says it all about the man.
Yeah, high praise from the king. All right. Was signed for Liverpool by manager Phil Taylor back in July 1958, joining from Stockton Heath, no less. He made his debut and scored his first goal on the 9th of September 1959 in a second division fixture at Anfield against Scunthorpe. And, you know, this goal was a goal of many. Went on to score 286 goals in totals for the club, 244 of them in the league, which remains, you know, up there with the greats in the league. But a little known fact, on the 22nd of August 1964, he scored a goal against Arsenal after 11 minutes in a 3-2 home win. But this was the first ever goal featured on Match of the Day back then. So that's an amazing kind of
What age were you then?
I wasn't even spoken about then. The legend that is me wasn't even born at that stage. I'm 1972.
Jeez, that shows you how far back. Jesus Christ, how far back to go. Yeah, it's just it's crazy. Like when I'm a lot older, when you're a lot older, when Ben has kids, your Ben, I mean, you know, we'll be talking about how great Mo Salah was, how great Stevie was. That our generation will move on, and then those kids will be saying, "Jeez, I wish I'd have got to watch Mo Salah, all the clips." Now, when you go back, you know, as always, when a Liverpool legend dies, we always go to YouTube. We always see the clips, you know, the fan reels, that the tributes that go out to say goodbye to them. And, you know, a lot of players from, like, we lost Ian St. John, sadly, this year, you know, and those two boys are back together. But you think, you know, if there is that place that they go to, you know, you'd like to imagine that the two of them are up there sitting there, that partnership again. And, you know, yeah, it's such a sad time. You always regret when you hear of the legends that have come and gone. Yeah, like, I would have loved to have got to watch Liverpool in the 80s. Would have absolutely. I'd give anything to go back and watch that team. All the European success, possibly one of the most dominating teams in football history. You know, it was kind of almost a given that Liverpool were going to win the league, and it was a fight out with the rest to see who finished second. So when you hear that Roger Hunt dies, and you see the tributes to him, and you watch the reels that they put out on Sky Sports or BBC One, I'd imagine there'll be one on Match of the Day tonight, paying homage to that honourable moment. So you just have that regret that you wish you could have watched the likes of him play, especially under the great man himself, Bill Shankly.
Yeah, you sometimes think there has to be a boot room up there somewhere, doesn't there, with all these lads sitting around smiling down on the club.
I'd say it's overloaded now, and the smell of smoke in the just filling the room.
Yeah. Those soaking wet boots on the wall, stinking up the place and stuff and all, but they loved it.
And you know what would have been the best thing about it? There wouldn't have been a fuck given. There'd be none of this about fixing the hair. There'd have been the boys in there, but imagine barefoot or in their flips or whatever, and just having a laugh. Can only imagine the stuff that was said. Boy, you'd love it to be a fly on the wall in those days, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I think for a lot of those boys as well, thick moustaches would be mandatory, wouldn't it?
Graham Seanet standing at the door one day, inspecting them with a ruler, saying, "Nah, too short, not today."
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you said already, look, condolences, prayers, and thoughts, obviously, to Roger Hunt's family, and friends, and obviously the wider Liverpool family in general. If you haven't checked,
get a win for him.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out this man, go check him out. He was absolutely unbelievable. They didn't call him the Blonde Bomber for nothing. He was incredible. And yes, it's always at this time where we honour these guys when they pass away. We always feel an obligation to do it, because, as we know, when we head over to Liverpool, the history, we always try and bring the history to the younger guys that come over with us and explain to them how important the history of the club is. I don't know. All we can say is we raise a glass to you, Roger Hunt, and thank you for everything you did and the foundation you laid for the club. As always, yourself, Ian St. John, Emlyn Hughes, all these players that we have lost, you know, absolute, you know, unbelievable players back in the day. And often forgotten about at times, not necessarily by our own fan base, but often forgotten about in the history of football in England. You know, these guys were incredible players.
Another member of that '66 World Cup winning team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going quick, isn't it? They seem to be going quick, quickly, isn't it? Yeah, which is very, very sad, really. You know,
doesn't seem long ago. I was 8 years old going to Anfield. No, 9 years old going to Anfield for the first time, and Robbie Fowler and Ian Rush were starting that day against QPR. Finished 1-1. Kevin Gallen was playing for QPR at the time, but Jesus, that was over fucking 20 years ago. You know what I mean? It's time is just flying by. Like you blink and it's gone. You know what I mean? So there's to be saying so many of them have gone in the last few years. You know, Roger, Ian St. John, Emlyn Hughes. Yeah, it's just we have to pay tribute to these guys when it's called upon, but we must never forget, even the ones that are still with us, what they did for the club. And I know the likes of me and you, like we're Liverpool, like it's in our blood, as is with hundreds of thousands of other Liverpool fans. But you know, they never leave us, and we're always thinking about them. But when it comes to saying goodbye, you know, what we've said today and paying homage to them, we genuinely mean every word of it. And I genuinely mean it when I say that one of my biggest regrets is not getting to see that team of the 60s under Bill Shankly. Because those guys are the legends that put us where we are now. I know Jurgen Klopp came in and gave us this success, and you have the likes of Mo Salah and all, but you look back to the platform and the success that these guys put in the foundations of the club, that it'd be stable going forward to where we are today.
And no doubt the man will get an outstanding tribute at Anfield tomorrow. So all that's left to say is Sir Roger Hunt, 1938 to 2021. Rest in peace. Till next time, Dino.
See you later.